The first thing is there's a shot in Way of Water, I think, of Spider pulling Quaritch out of the ocean, out of the sea, onto some rocks, and the water's lapping against the rocks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we are never going to see anything better than that. Like,
I know what you mean.
Just
I know exactly what
ridiculous.
you mean. At the time, when they were like, yeah, that must be the pinnacle of everything.
And then in this film, there's like an opening scene with him and Kiri.
It's like 20
jumping
minutes
into the water.
It's like 20 minutes of this. Like
what? That's amazing. And then there's a couple of river shots, including just them going down the
water.
rapids.
Half of it.
That's insane.
And the water is half.
Let's talk about that in a second.
Like the water is just like, what is happening in my mind? Am I watching this? Is this real?
Yeah. And then there's him at the riverbed. I think that happens kind of twice in the movie, and that is almost as ridiculously good as anything you've ever seen as well.
Today's episode is sponsored by Action VFX and CGTrader.
Become the compositor studios can't afford to replace. Easily harness the full power of ComfyUI using Action VFX's Introduction to ComfyUI for VFX course. Taught by Doug Hogan, a VFX artist with 18 years of VFX experience and countless credits within the VFX industry. Within this course, you'll learn how to install ComfyUI, quickly generate clean plates, create utility passes, speed up set extensions, create 3D models from images, and so much more. You'll also get free EXR footage, workflows, and cheat sheets. So visit actionvfx.com to sign up today and become the compositor studios want to hire.
And we have a special treat for the Visual Effects Notes podcast listeners. Use the code COMFY10VFX to get an exclusive 10% discount for this course. CGTrader has been around for 12 years, and it's highly trusted by the visual effects community. I myself and my team have used CGTrader for years on many projects ranging from game cinematic short films to commercials. Whatever your project needs, CGTrader has over 3 million assets built by real professionals with a large community of creators, always uploading production-ready, high-quality models. Designers like Asset Kit and Suburb CG have millions of views and hundreds of verified buyer reviews. You can find characters, creatures, environments, vehicles, and so much more, all filtered by animated, rigged, low poly, or PBR ready. And the best part, you can check everything before spending any money. CGTrader is an extremely transparent platform where you can see previews of the assets, the specs, and you can read the reviews from real buyers and check how they use them on their own pipelines. So the next time you need a 3D model for your project, go to CGTrader, the marketplace VFX artists actually use. Use the code HUGO10 at checkout for 10% discount on all items, including the ones on sale. And now on to the show.
Hi everyone, welcome to the VFX Notes podcast. I'm Ian Fales from Befores and Afters, and I'm joined, as always, by Hugo Guerra from Hugo's Desk. Hi Hugo, how are you?
Hey Ian, how are you doing?
Really good, thanks. Things are going well here on Pandora, so I'm looking forward to exploring the Earth, Pandora, with you.
It's third time we're going to Pandora now. It's the third time we're going to Pandora. We've done already 2 episodes. Third time is the charm, I guess. Let's go. Yeah, this is of course today we're going to be talking about James Cameron's Avatar: Fire and Ash, and I can't wait to talk to you about this movie because this movie surprised me a lot, and yeah, let's just dive in, man.
Let's dive in. Obviously, we're in the 2026 VFX Oscar season of VFX Notes.
Yeah.
And Avatar, which has previously won 2 visual effects Oscars, is probably a front runner in many ways for the VFX Oscar this year. I think it's a really tricky race because there's 2 other films, Sinners and The Lost Bus, that I think are the kinds of films that could take...
And F1 as well. F1 is also...
Oh my God, F1. And look, Jurassic, I also think, is incredible in terms of the visual effects work.
But I'm not sure... I don't know. I think it's too much competition this year. I still think Avatar will take it. I do, because it's just by the sheer magnitude of it. I think it will take it.
Well, and the work in it is incredible by Weta effects mostly, and of course ILM is a contributor to this film.
Yeah.
Plus all the crazy virtual production stuff that we'll talk about as well.
Yeah.
But in terms of the film, Hugo, look, this is a film I eventually had an incredible time in the cinema watching.
Eventually.
I will be the first to admit that I saw this in Melbourne on this huge IMAX screen, and it was in 3D, and I
with the high frame rate, the high frame rate and everything.
Well, that's a good question. I'm unclear about that, but I assume it was, and I struggle a little bit with stereo and 3D. I get a bit motion sick.
Okay.
So on a huge IMAX screen, I was in the back row. I just struggled a little bit, and it was a little bit disorienting. And I don't think I had not seen a 3D film probably since the last Avatar, right? So that's kind of something to get used to. And so I found that tricky. However, of course, some of the imagery, I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe what I'm watching. Occasionally in that first IMAX screening, there were a few scenes that felt a bit buzzy or just, I don't know, just a little bit grainy, like something on the riverbed scene towards the end when they're contemplating killing Spider.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler. Just felt a little bit grainy. So, okay. But anyway, I had a great time because that's the kind of movie it is. You just have a really good time. My initial reaction to it, especially from the third act, was this feels very familiar.
Yeah.
You know, there's a big battle involving water. And so I just, okay, that feels a bit familiar. And I wasn't sure what the story was. I later heard from Jim Cameron, and I didn't realize this, that Avatar 2 and 3 were sort of meant to be the same film, and he ended up splitting them. So that's really interesting.
Otherwise it would be a 6 hours long film.
Yeah. Then I saw the film again in Los Angeles at Disney's studio in Burbank. A big, huge screen, but I was in the back row. It was also 3D. And it was just, honestly, a completely different experience.
Yeah.
I loved it even more.
Yeah.
And I just think because it wasn't in my face so much, it just felt richer, actually, the imagery somehow. And the only thing I would say that sort of still bothered me just a little bit was that it felt familiar again. Because I just, you know, I wanted more to happen. That's what I would say. I had the best time watching this film. I just was buzzing. You know, there's of course I've written a whole magazine on the film, and I seriously think the work by everyone was incredible.
Oh yeah.
I just, you know, sometimes you want more. Maybe you want a character to die, right? And of course, the character did die, but you want like a Jake or Natiri to die. You don't want them to die, but I want something big like that to happen.
You want all the kids to be. You want all the kids on the audience to be crying, man. Don't do that.
I'm saying that I'm getting that slightly. I'm sort of being a bit flippant about that. I don't mean I want them to die. I want a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And someone will argue that perhaps there is a cliffhanger side of this because, like, yes, we've defeated the enemy twice. Now what's going to happen? They're going to come back even harder, right? But I think I was just thinking there would be more of a cliffhanger side to this film.
Yeah.
So that was one issue. And my only other issue, I'm sort of being upfront about my issues with the film, is the film is called Avatar Fire and Ash. Now, Varang and Una Chaplin she is the star of this film.
Oh, absolutely.
And she is from this Ash clan, and it is brilliant.
Stole the show completely.
She is so good, and I'm like, wow, I can see, like, it's just brilliant.
I can see a movie about Varang.
You go into Avatar Fire and Ash. Sorry, Hugo.
No, go for it.
you go into Avatar Fire and Ash and you probably think it's going to be full of volcanoes and fire and stuff like that. It's there, and she is in it and she's amazing. But I just feel like it was more like Avatar The Way of Water Part 2, which was fine, which was totally fine. But how do you feel about that, particularly the title of the film? Possibly slightly misleading is all I will say.
I understand exactly what you mean. And for me, this is Avatar 3. That's how I know it. That's how I call it. Because it's Avatar 1, 2, and 3. I get it that they put these titles and they put these names, but it should just be Avatar 3, and that's it. And I know we don't do these things anymore, but I'm old-fashioned. I like, Godfather Part 1, Godfather Part 2, Godfather Part 3. I like that, and I think it could have just been Avatar Part 1, Avatar Part 2, Avatar Part 3. I don't think you need titles and you need subtitles and things like that. And so for me, yeah, I couldn't care less about the Fire and Ash title. I went to see Avatar 3, that was it. And I still call it Avatar 3. Maybe I'll put it on the title of this video, Avatar 3, just to piss everyone else. So I don't have a big problem with the title, I think. I don't think I do. Yeah. Anything else?
But what about the movie in terms of
anything else you don't like?
I just wanted to be really upfront about those things. That was my experience watching it. But the truth is, I cannot wait to watch it again.
Yeah.
Because there is so much detail in it. Sometimes when I'm watching it, I think, wow, Jim Cameron, I feel like you've sort of simplified some of the dialogue and the action. And I'm like, is that what I want? And actually, it is great. My younger nephews and nieces, they just love it. They love the family side of these Avatar films. Yeah. And, I'm going to tell you, this happens all the time with these films that we talk about, Hugo. The second viewing is like you see all those things you missed and then you get what the director was going for. Avatar Fire and Ash on second viewing is like twice as good as the first viewing. And my takeaway is that this is a brilliant film. Like, seriously. That's my takeaway.
No, I know what you mean. I think it's by design, the whole thing with the kids, and to be for the younger audience. I think it's like it's a Star Wars thing. It's like Star Wars with George Lucas in the when he came back with the prequels as well. So what do I know? I mean, I absolutely love the film. I completely understand all the issues, and I completely understand the problems people have with the plot, and they say they've seen the same. And I've seen a lot of bad reviews about this movie, and I've listened to them, and I read them, and I really investigated quite a lot. I don't really think, I can understand the criticisms, and I can understand why people might be a bit jaded about the fact that it's practically part 2. But for me, Ian, and this really proves the thing, like, it's very rare that I ever do a video review about something. Very rare. Mm-hmm. And so I left the cinema. I watched it before it was premiered. So I was lucky enough, I got like a premiere ticket on the premiere day, on the day that it was released, in the premiere. So they did a premiere with all the actors, all the famous people in London, in the big the place, they have the red carpet and everything. It's like where they usually do it
in Leicester Square.
Exactly, yeah. So with the red carpet, and so they did it in the afternoon, and then after the first session, then they had one with the crew, and with also guests as well. I was a guest, so I was invited by 20th Century Fox to go, and I went and I saw this beautiful screening on Leicester Square, IMAX Dolby in 3D. I was quite at the back, so the tricky thing with 3D films is that you actually need to be at the back, the back and center, so that you get the best three-dimensional viewing angle to watch a movie like this. And I know it sounds silly, but the location in the cinema makes a huge difference for a film like this. And that's why, for example, for you to watch 3D movies at home Best way is for you to face the screen or to use the Apple Vision Pro. That's the best way to watch 3D stereoscopy movies. Or you can also have, that's what I have. I have like a very old, from the 2010 Sony Vision. It's like a piece of glass that you put on your eyes, and it's a three-dimensional, it's a stereoscopic viewer for you to watch movies in stereoscopic. And that's the best way, because you're just there and it doesn't, you're in the perfect angle with your eyes. I'll show it next time you're here. I'll show you that little thing that I have. It's like from the 2010s, 15s or something like that. It's, you attach it to a Blu-ray player and then you can watch the 3D version. So I had really good screening of the movie, and I was blown away. I was blown away by the movie because I was so blown away that I went home and I just immediately did a video review of the film. I had embargo, so 20th Century Fox gave me an embargo date, and so I couldn't release the review. But I did the review right away, did the video without a script. I just did a video directly to camera and then waited until the embargo was over, and then I released the video. And yeah, I was just so blown away I had to make a video about it. And the reason I was blown away, it's not about the story. It's not about that it's repeated. It's just that there is no way there is nothing like this. I watched the movie in 3D.
Yes.
And exactly. I watched the movie in high frame rate, in 48 frames per second. Not the film is not in, like, Way of the Water, about half of it was in 48. This one is like a lot more. I think it's probably 75% of it is in 48. There's only a few shots that are not in 48, which is great. I wish that it was the whole thing in 48. I think it makes a huge difference because it's really much more smooth to watch the 3D. Not as smooth as, I remember Hang Lee when he did that. He did a film in stereoscopic at 120. That was even more smooth than Gemini Man. The more frame rate you put, the better experience the 3D is going to be, and the less sickness you get, you know.
But just on that, some people have said that was also a bit disorienting and distracting.
Yeah.
I think Jim Cameron and the team sort of chose their moments.
Yes,
right?
They did.
And the only thing that did result in particular in the IMAX screening I saw, was that some scenes just looked like the best rendering you've ever seen in your life ever.
Yes.
And other scenes looked like the second best rendering you've ever seen ever.
I think that's you reacting to the 4824. I think
it might be.
Yes.
And sometimes, and this is the criticism you see online sometimes, is that it looks like a video game. Now, you know, it's often a fully CG film. It has this kind of aesthetic to it, especially with the high frame rate. I think after a few shots, you get used to it and you get immersed in it and you get immersed in the story. I can see some of that. Some of that criticism is valid, I think.
It is.
Because it's just distracting a little bit.
I have a really controversial way of dealing with this, and I'll tell you, and I'm sure people are going to hate me on the comments, but I think this movie is really going to be a struggle for older people like us because we're just not used to this frame rate. And I'm saying this because every single young person plays 60 frames per second games. That's it. Yeah. I do as well. Yeah. You know me. I play games all the time. I'm a huge nerd and gamer. And so every single game I play on the PlayStation 5, Xbox, on PC, it's all 60 frames per second. Some games are even 120. Sometimes you even have games at 120. It's an entire generation that was born from the 90s and the 2000s that only experienced 60 frames per second content, you know. The film, the video games are all at 60, all of them. And so they're so used to it. And so if you talk with young people, as I did about this movie, they don't even care, and they actually hate the 24 frames per second version. They hate that sections. Yes. And so I think this is a really big difference between a generation leap here. The reason why he didn't do it on purpose. The reason why he's doing it is because it's just the smoothest way of watching 3D without you being sick. Really, that's the thing. And he hasn't done it at 60. He's did it at 48. I do think if he did it at 60, it would have even looked better. It's just that it's probably a bit too far off, because for you to render 60, man, my God, I think Weta would have a heart attack for trying to even make 60 instead of 48. It's even more frames. Yeah. So I think it's a generational thing. Younger people love this, and they don't understand why it cuts to 24. And older people are so used to 24 thing that they can't comprehend what's happening, because it's so rare that we have films like this. You can count them by your hands. You have Gemini Man, you have Avatar, then you have the other film Ang Lee made. I can't remember the name. It's something Bridge. I can't remember the name of it.
But there's like The Walk. The Walk.
Yeah, exactly, that one as well. So there's only 5 or 6 movies that are high frame rate. It's very rare that you see movies in high frame rate. And then of course you have soap operas, and then you have newscasts, and then you have the entire world of video games, which this new generation just plays games all the time.
Yeah.
And so they're used to it. I don't think it was by design. I don't think it was in purpose. I don't think James Cameron is sitting on a meeting saying, oh, let's do 48 so we can grab the gamers. I don't think he did that at all. It's just that I think that's where the criticism is coming from. It's that people are not used to it,
And when you watch it and absorb the characters, and you have close-up shots of Varang in that high frame rate and with that lushness, it does do something different to your watching brain.
It's real.
Right?
You're watching it and it's
real.
real.
Something different. Yeah.
You look at it and it's like it's happening. It's in front of you. It's
and
really there.
And I would say in screenings, especially the one at Disney, which was a bit of a family screening, you could hear people go, oh, you could just feel them go, that is so, I've never seen
anything
something
like that.
Like that.
Yeah.
And we know that Weta, and that they can do it because they've done it in other films, but there's something about the combination of that high frame rate, that rendering, and just the character with the Una Chaplin playing is just something else. So I often talk about on this podcast the experience of watching the film. In the case of me watching Avatar: Fire and Ash for the second time, the experience was off the planet. Just this is, James Cameron saving cinemas. Basically, that's how I felt, right? Because he is introducing a new way to experience cinema. I mean, he didn't invent high frame rate or 3D or stereo or whatever, but he, like how he bamboozled in a good way people in 2009 with Avatar and stereo, I think he's continuing to reinvent it and making it a fun, crazy experience at the cinema, which is what we probably have to do to save cinema, right?
And I don't even think he's doing it because of that. He's just doing it because he thinks this is how he should be doing movies now. And going back to my review, I don't even have anything to say about the story or about the film or about. I've said all of it on my review. People can go and watch the video review I've made a few months ago. It's all there in terms of what I think about the film itself. But for me, I haven't had an experience like this since the last Avatar, and before that, it was since the other Avatar. And so I think every time I go and see Avatar, it is the most advanced and most transcendent experience I've ever had. And because it's such a transcendent experience, because the quality of the CG and the quality of the stereoscopic and the quality of the frame rate, the quality of the image itself is so beyond anyone else's work. It's just beyond. It is the most advanced looking movie ever made. And you're watching it and your eyes, you just can't stop looking at it. And I'll be honest, at some point, I wasn't listening to the story. I wasn't even care. I think I have this thing that I'm watching this movie and I'm just so dazzled by the visuals of it and the filmmaking itself and the angles and the camera angles, and that I couldn't care less of what they're saying. The film is just an experience. Doesn't even matter if you don't like it. Even if people don't like the story and they complain that it's the Pocahontas story and this and that, go and watch it anyway. Go and watch it in stereo. Go and watch it. This is what I say on my video. Regardless how you feel about Avatar, and you don't like the blue people, or you don't like the Navis, or you hate that universe, watching this in stereoscopic high frame rate is an experience that you will never see again. It's the same one we talked about Sinners in IMAX. It's the same thing. The reason why you'll never see it again is because there is no way of watching this anywhere else. If you watch the Blu-ray, even the 4K Blu-ray, it's a 24 frame per second experience. It's not on 3D as well. If you buy the 3D Blu-ray, then you have an HD version, not 4K, and it still doesn't have the high frame rate, and it's just 3D in HD without the frame rate. There is only one place on the planet that you can watch this movie with the high frame rate in 3D, and that is if you actually have an Apple Vision Pro. That's the only way.
Yeah.
And still, if you want, and I'm assuming they're going to do that with Fire and Ash. It's not out on Disney Plus yet, but if you go to Disney Plus right now, you can watch Way of the Water with high frame rate in 3D, Dolby 3D with the Apple Vision. But that's it. And there's what? Couple of thousand people with the Apple Vision. I mean, it is really a niche thing. So this experience is impossible at home. It's impossible on your phone. It's impossible on your TV. It's impossible anywhere else. There's not even 3D TVs anymore. I have a few, but they don't even sell them anymore. And so this is really the only way you're going to experience this is if you go to the cinema. That is the only way. And I think that's why the film is making it's already at 1.7 billion. It's gonna probably do 2 billion again. People just keep going to watch it, and they keep and repeat it and watch it again because there's no way of watching this, and this is a mind-blowing experience. This, I must say, I think watching a movie like this must be the same thing people felt when they saw the train getting into the station, when they saw it on the 1912s, 1910s, when they watch it for the first time, the Lumiere movies. I'm sure this is that kind of experience. You've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about the movie. And so I forgive every other shortcoming to it because the achievement is so huge and it's so mind-blowing. It's like I can't even explain how I felt when I was watching the movie in the cinema, Ian. I don't even remember. I really felt I was transported somewhere. I felt like I was there. I felt like I was watching something, and I don't really have this feeling on movies ever. You don't. Yeah. It's a special thing.
Yes. Well, we know James Cameron can do world building well.
Yeah.
But he has done world building like nothing else with Avatar films. I mean, two things there. It is also a great message, right? About
absolutely
the behavior of humans, the environment.
Of course,
and that's awesome.
It's all James Cameron. It's the kind of thing he's always talking about on his movies lately. So, yeah.
A quick note on the box office, not that matters in terms of our review or the visual effects work. I think one interesting thing about this film is that, yes, it's made $1.4 or $1.5 billion. And I think they would probably have been hoping for even more, even though that's ridiculously impressive.
It's so much money. I know, it's so much money.
And part of it is because these films are expensive to make, just the time, actors, visual effects work, blah, blah, blah. But also Cameron has 6 of these films in mind, right? Or 5 or 6. And for Disney to say yes to the next one
has to reach a value, of course.
Yeah, we don't know the details
but it's
of all
so
that
much,
sort of stuff.
Whenever people have this conversation, people forget that $1 billion is so much money. People forget because I think people lose perspective. When you get to $1 billion, it's so much money that it doesn't even matter. Yes, it cost $300 million, but man, we're talking about 5 or 6 times what they've spent. Like it's so much money. It's probably keeping the studio alive. Like I don't even. It's so much money. Like it's ridiculous. And the other ones are still making money because we're forgetting the streaming and we're forgetting the Blu-rays and we're forgetting all the other things that still happen. And he re-released Avatar 1. He re-released Way of the Water. You went to see it on the cinema again. And I'm sure when Avatar 4 comes along, they'll re-release all of them again, and they will get a little bit more box office out of it.
Yeah.
This is a juggernaut. It's like massive, this thing,
I agree that it is, although we are definitely not the experts in Hollywood accounting.
Of course not.
And someone will tell us that, well, it cost $300 million, but remember they were all shot at the same time, so shouldn't it cost less than that? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know that if that's what someone really says. I mean, part of it is the Disney ecosystem. You know, there's Pandora Worlds at, I think, some theme parks, and that feeds that, of course. And
you have merchandise.
yes,
You have a lot of video games. Like a bunch of video games. Just recently, the video game, the Avatar Pandora game from Ubisoft, it's a huge hit. It's been on the top selling for months now. Like it's huge hit that game as well.
Just to be clear, I want this film to be huge, and I think it is huge. But I think there's Hollywood's process has gone out the window in only the last few years.
But this is the last bastion of it. I think this movie and James Cameron's way of working, this is. I don't believe that ever an Avatar movie, if it's really done by him, if it's done by him. I'm not sure if they directed by someone else. I think it'll be a different conversation. I think the viewership is still going to come. It's a James Cameron movie. It's an event. It's been like this since Titanic. Every time there's a James Cameron movie, everyone flocks to the cinema. So it's like, doesn't matter. It's almost like people that haven't been on the cinema for 10 years, they come over to just watch this. And so he manages, for some weird reason, like a spell, he grabs all the people that have never watched movies. They never go to the cinema, but they go. It's like the same people that do Christopher Nolan. They never go to the cinema, and then they go to Christopher Nolan's movies. There's a type of audience that just watches streaming only, and then they watch one movie, and this is the movie.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, it helps to be released at Christmas time and all that sort of thing. But what you're talking about is the event type of movie that Avatar is, and it is, and that's what I mean when I say saving cinema, because we clearly need these smaller movies that are great films that don't cost too much, and we need these big ones that people turn out to, and that multiplexes can make money
keep it
from.
alive, and they keep the studios alive as well. And I know what you mean. So
and just
I love it. I really love it. I have but I completely understand the problems. I do. And so I am
dying.
We can spend here half an hour talking about all the plot holes and all the problems the film has, but why? Like, what's the point? That's the thing. I have a feeling with it.
I am dying for Cameron to make the next ones. As someone hinted to me in a suggested, like, what are the next ones about? Someone said, like, they go back to Earth, with the Na'vi. Cool. I mean, that would be super cool. But of course, I think Cameron wants to make a Hiroshima film based on a book, and he's getting older. He can keep going as long as he likes. I'm sure.
But I'm sure he wants to do something else. I'm sure. I think he's also involved in some Terminator project as well, as I saw somewhere. He's always a bit involved on some Terminator thing once in a while.
But there are some incredible filmmakers around, of course, who are brilliant with virtual production techniques and technologies. People like Gareth Edwards, Wes Ball.
Could pick it up.
Just saying, if Jim didn't want to make the next ones, but
I know you're talking more about like George Lucas did with Star Wars, and then there was a bunch of people doing Star Wars for him. That's a good idea. I mean, I still think the best Star Wars is not made by George Lucas. The best Star Wars is Rogue One. It's not by George Lucas at all. So it is possible to have a better version of Avatar from someone else, for sure, if it's the correct person. But it's also so easy to spoil it and crap it up. It's so easy for you to just release infinite amount of sequels, and then it just loses completely the plot, like it happened with Star Wars. So.
Yes. Okay. Well, we both love the film, and I think, it has things that could be better, but I really, really enjoyed this film. I'm so glad it exists. When I'm watching a film like this, Hugo, I can't help be also enamored by the way these films are made, right? The Avatar films are made. And Jim Cameron and Lightstorm didn't invent virtual production or the simulcam or virtual cam, but they absolutely refined it. And I think that is still one of the most exciting things about the way this film is made, which is largely like a big stage play on a volume set, on different sets on a volume, where he doesn't need to worry at that point about camera angles or lighting. he can just get the acting refined, right? And I think that is a really, like, for a director and for an actor, that must be a really cool thing. And then, all the way through to the way Lightstorm make this template, and then it gets given to the visual effects teams at Wētā and later ILM as well to do their magic on. And I think that process, which is hugely complicated, is also really, really, really interesting. Very, very much a Jim Cameron thing. But I think really worked well here, right? You could just feel the cinematic language in shots that are all CG, but you could feel that it's Jim Cameron's history of cinema, like making sure they feel cinematic and not just CG shots. That's also a takeaway that I have from this film.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the film looks beautiful, the angles, and I'm a bit shocked that it wasn't nominated for cinematography. I think it should have, but I know it's difficult. The Oscars are a bit difficult beast. Like they're so used to this traditional cinematography, so this is a hard pill to swallow for them to nominate something like this, I think. But I feel like that process, which began in 2009, even before that, of course, 2009 was when the film released. I'm assuming they've probably developed it all the way from 2005 or 2006 or something, years before the film was released. So they've been doing this for 20 years now, like literally for 20 years, this development of stage capture and what used to be mocap and then became performance capture, like they keep marketing about. And this way of doing the sets, but also this mix, because it's also, people also forget that the film is not entirely done on that stage with the volume. There's also an enormous amount of blue screen footage on this movie, an enormous amount of set building, actual practical sets and cockpits and actually every time you see the humans and you see the citadel and you see them on cockpits of vehicles, or you see them on these meetings all over with the computers, or even you see the labs with the humans, most of them are built. They're actually sets or partial sets with like sections of them made and the rest in CG. So there's a lot of traditional cinematography, traditional filmmaking as well happening with this movie. But what you were talking about, the way the volume is working, is fascinating. No one else is really doing it at this level, because James Cameron is like really between the volume shooting and also the editorial process is really fascinating, because it's not a typical linear process. Normally you would shoot something, you would have you need to sort out the angles, you need to sort out the shots, and then you have multiple takes, and then you go to editorial, and then you edit the film. I don't think people realize how complex this is. This is twice edited. There's 2 edits going. So you first shoot this, and there's no shots. There's, like you said, it's sequences like theater. And at the same time, it's actually being shot by multiple cameras. Like there's dozens of cameras on set.
There also might be previs, so that's part of it too.
Exactly. That's before, of course. That's before. But when they are actually on set, they have, of course, the volume cameras, and then on top of that, they have all these witness cameras, which are like normal news gather cameras, shoulder cameras, where you have a bunch of cameramen shooting this thing. And so when the editor, Steven Rifkin, like what he's trying to achieve is really mind-blowing, because you gather all these angles. You have dozens of angles of a single take. And then you have multiple takes. And so he has to first go through all those takes and select the best takes they like. And sometimes James Cameron might like a performance from one take and another performance from another take, and then they merge the heads of one with the bodies of others. And so you have this kind of like spaghetti edit of 15 to 20 angles of a camera trying to sort out what the film will be from that performance. So the theatrical performance, which is almost a theater play, he picks all the angles and all the things, and then that becomes an edit of the movie. Then that gets sent out to a team that then accomplishes like a proxy CG version of the movie, which has like low resolution animation, it has low resolution models and sets, and that becomes then the template that will then be playing when James Cameron is by himself on the volume again with the virtual camera. And then he's then finally finding the lenses, finding the angles, framing the film, and choosing zooms, choosing this one will be at 24 mil, this one will be at 50 mil. That's when he's actually by himself with no actors there. The video just keeps looping and running on the background in real time. And so these are these kind of pre-comps with CG that they're running in real time. And then he has this virtual camera thing that he has on his hands. And then he blocks all the movie from those playback sections. And then that goes all the way back to 7 again. And he has to re-edit the whole thing again, because then he needs to edit with the real shots and the real angles. This is really complicated. It is. But the cool thing about this, because you have this freedom, this allows you for pure acting. This allows you for you to not care about angles, not care about props, not care about sets, not care about wardrobe. You can just get to the bare bones of acting, just acting, method acting. They're just acting. It's like a theater play. They're all there with their suits and their mocap suits, and they just act. No one cares if it's a close-up or if it's a wide shot or if it's like a group shot. It becomes so much more advanced acting because they don't... A lot of times when you're doing a close-up, the actor will only be really caring about his head and not about his arms or about his legs. This is full body acting because you don't know what angle will be chosen later on. So I feel that this is revolutionary. I'm not saying that everyone should be using this kind of technology, but this is really what James Cameron is bringing to the table here and really revolutionizing cinema. The way he's making these movies, no one else is making movies like this. No one else. Like, there is no one right now making movies at this scale that makes it this way, where they have the dual editing system, where they actually have no shots whatsoever. There's people doing it in small sections of a movie or small parts, but this is a 3.5 hour long movie. It's a long movie. I think this is revolutionary. And it's really opening the doors to other types of filmmaking. And I really think it's going to become a way of filming that more people will pick up and more people will actually develop. And this is really his contribution. I feel this is a huge innovation. I really think this is an innovative way of making filmmaking.
Well, it obviously suits Avatar, which is about aliens that can't really be done with makeup effects. And it has to be, to some degree, all CG. If another film or a story needs to be told that requires full CG characters like this, then sure, this is the way to do it. And I think there probably is some cinematics done to a smaller scale like this in games, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to mention that because this technology is completely embraced by video games. And so right now you have... all the major video games have hours and hours and hours of cinematic shots, and they're done exactly this way. There's no shots, there's no angles chosen right away. They shoot it all in the volume, and then they pick the angles later, and then they develop it exactly the same way James Cameron is doing. So in a way, he ended up revolutionizing the way games work and the games operate. And without this technology, you wouldn't have had The Last of Us, that game, which really revolutionized cinematic storytelling. You wouldn't have had Death Stranding, which also revolutionized storytelling in video games. You even wouldn't have had all the fancy and amazing cinematic cutscenes from Call of Duty or even Battlefield. All these games now have all the cinematic sequences all done this way. They're all done with this pipeline. To be honest, they're a smaller scale, of course, but it is all done by this pipeline.
I completely agree that, his workflow has established that this is the way to do it and to get the best results. But there's also, we must make sure that we say that video games, in fact, are the things that probably led Jim Cameron to even adopting this approach.
Probably,
because it was motion capture in video games
that started
and shooting on the volume and using essentially virtual cameras to get there to begin with. And there were also some films that used these virtual production approaches before Avatar, Polar Express and Final Fantasy are two examples.
Oh yeah, even the Final Fantasy games used to do mocap in the 90s. So this all goes all the way back to Japanese video games in the 90s and late 90s and 2000s. Yeah.
But like I was saying before, the big thing is I think it happened for a while. There were some cinematics that could use these techniques, but they just would do characters doing crazy things or cameras doing crazy things that you couldn't do with normal film cameras. And what Jim and his team bring to this is, as I said, the cinematic language.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we were talking about before, Hugo. I was watching Fire and Ash, and I think I even said this to some of the Weta effects folk. It felt to me like someone went out to Pandora and shot this.
Yeah. And they did.
Right?
That's the thing.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
But it did feel like that. And part of that is the fact that there are real sets, and even the performance capture actors are interacting with partial sets and, bits and pieces of sets and other things on the volume. But then the next step, which I'm sure is one thing that both you and I reacted so favorably to, is the integration of live action with the CG Navi. And Spider is clearly the example of that, right?
Yeah.
So the way that worked is that Jack Champion, the actor playing Spider, would also be performing on the volume, right, when they shot motion capture. I think maybe sometimes a stand-in might have done it too, so that they knew how to interact with Spider as what would be a CG character Spider. And then later, he would be shot again on partial sets or blue screen sets for the stereo live action photography.
Yeah.
And
with a lot of blue spandex people all around.
Yes, that's right. The techniques Weta FX and the whole team at Lightstorm had employed to help that stuff in Way of Water were amplified on Fire and Ash.
Yeah.
He
only shows up a little bit on Way of the Water. He's so much more present on this movie, so they really had to go for it, of course.
Yeah, but things like the live depth compositing that we've talked about a lot before, the eyeline system, which is so cool to watch, to see this disembodied head on a monitor, and in the place of Quaritch, but Jack Champion acting to that system, and then just whatever Weta FX was doing to composite the live action Spider into these CG scenes with CG characters. It is next level. It is. There's some amazing compositing around at the moment, and this is the pinnacle. This is the pinnacle compositing.
And if
I also want to praise Jack for the way he was able to do that interaction, right? Sometimes he's ducking under things. Sometimes
he did a fantastic
job.
People criticize him a lot. A lot of people don't like the Spider character, and they don't like him, and because there's a lot of because people love to wait on things. But he did a fantastic job. You imagine doing this with a bunch of blue spandex people and just imagining all of this happening next to him. He had nothing to play for. Sometimes he's just playing with himself. There's no one else there. There's literally no one else there except a bunch of people dressed in blue.
But
and he's acting. It's amazing.
I agree, but the benefit is he mostly would have done the motion capture, performance capture, right, side of things.
Yeah.
And because it's all about knowing how this process, virtual cameras, the simulcam, the eyeline system, they're doing as many things as they can to help him.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
with that interaction.
You were talking about the merging, the compositing. I need to shout out that when I go through your magazine and I go frame by frame and I go before and after, or even when I go to the Visual Effects Society breakdowns, or even the breakdowns that you sparsely see on some of the behind the scenes official footage as well. My God, you look at them and you're like, oh, this should, I'm sure this is real water, and then it's not. Then it's CG water. And then you look at another shot and you're like, oh, that's CG water, and then it's real water. And it's like, sorry. So that one has real water, and then this one has CG water, and this one has both CG water and real water, and they're all merged together. The bubbles are real, and then the water is not real, and then the back is... It is just... your mind just blows away. Like, I'm watching these breakdowns and I'm watching these frames from your magazine and from the break and from the, especially the Visual Effects Society breakdowns. You're like, what? How is this even possible? Like, especially the rapids shots, the water with the rapids with Spider. Like, how did they even do this? I'm like I'm a composer and I'm like, I can't do. How did they do this? It's blown. I was blown away by it.
Okay, 3 points on that. The first thing is there's a shot in Way of Water, I think, of Spider pulling Quaritch out of the ocean, out of the sea, onto some rocks, and the water's lapping against the rocks. Yeah. And I'm like, we are never going to see anything better than that. Like.
I know what you mean.
Just
I know
ridiculous.
Exactly what you mean. At the time, when they were like, yeah, that must be the pinnacle of everything.
And then in this film, there's like an opening scene with him and Kiri.
It's like 20
jumping
minutes
into the water.
It's like 20 minutes of this. Like,
what? That's amazing. And then there's a couple of river shots, including just them going down the rapids.
Water, half of it.
That's insane.
And the water is half.
Let's talk about that in a second.
Like the water is just like, what is happening in my mind? Am I watching this? Is this real?
Yeah. And then there's him at the riverbed. I think that happens kind of twice in the movie, and that is almost as ridiculously good as anything you've ever seen as well. One thing I would say before we talk about the interaction of live real water and CG water is there is definitely a digital half to this, which is Weta FX has made a CG spider, right? Based on scans, based on everything Weta FX does to do digital humans. They have built a CG spider where they need to replace an arm, or it's the back of his head, and I bet there's a whole bunch of CG spiders that we don't realize are CG spiders.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure Weta FX vocalize that very much because it's as we talk about all the time, some things they like to keep behind the curtain.
You see them when you watch, but they're not public. That's the thing. You see them when you watch there's 10 videos for the Visual Effects Society, because this thing has been nominated for 10 Visual Effects Society awards.
Yeah.
There's 10 videos. And when you watch those videos, they're like 3 minutes each, and they're not public. You really start seeing how much visual effects and how much sections of it. That's why I was so impressed, because it is a lot easier to just do it in full CG or to just do it for real. When you're combining both, it is so much harder. And you look at these breakdowns and you see 20% of the shot is real and the other 80 is not. And then it's all mixed. It's all merged and mixed and completely intertwined. The way they've managed to even track the water and then develop a solver to simulate the water the same way as the tracked water that is on the camera, and then it looks the same. It's just like, okay, so they basically match the water that was on the tank and then amplify it, because of course the tank is smaller, then they have to have the water on the back as well. And so they've managed to find a way of tracking that and making the currents and the simulation of the foam and the simulation of the water splashing with the other bodies, which are navis, they're not even there. And it all merges and matches perfectly to the pixel, to the raw plate. And I've never... In the past, I've seen water replace. Now, we've seen all of that, where you have something shot, like we just saw in Sinners. They have the water shots at the end, and you see the breakdowns, and they replace the whole water. They replace the whole thing. This is not that. This is basically replicating to the pixel the water simulation.
Yes.
It's so it's so accurate. It's so physically accurate that it matches. This is mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing.
Yes, I will never be able to explain it very well myself, but please read the magazine where visual effects supervisor Sam Cole and also effects soup Nicholas Illingworth describe the oscillator approach to doing that, right? By finding some of the oscillating parts of the water, tracking them, and then using that to replicate to build CG water. Like I won't be able to explain it terribly well, but that's the water side.
They explain it really well. So it's people should really go in and read this. This magazine is an accomplishment. Once again, Ian, I'm selling a magazine for you. The same way you've been doing an amazing job, my friend. This is the best record of visual effects for Avatar 3. For Avatar 3, I keep saying it. It is amazing. Go and get it digitally or in paper, like I do. I'm an old-fashioned guy.
You're very fun to write.
It's big as well.
Cool because I got to talk to so many people at Weta FX and on the production side. But I think, we started talking about Spider. It isn't at all just a CG character. It is the way they've integrated the live action photography of him in there, and often having to put a visor on his mask, deal with the reflections, deal with his crazy dreadlock hair sometimes. I still don't really know how they did it. It's like every single secret sauce that Weta FX has to do that, they've employed, and the artistry is just off the charts incredible. So actually that river stuff, and also there's a scene of Spider getting onto a ilu, in the shallows, and the live action is him basically on a blue screen puppet, with these blue screen performers around as the Na'vi, is just like, what? How do you go from that to that? What? So
all sorts of simple stuff. Cool. Really, even when there's a shot that he's calling he's on a city and he's there's a huge flashlight from an helicopter, I think. Well, not a helicopter, it's a spaceship. It's doing a huge flash on him, and they shot it on the blue screen with a huge flash lamp hitting him. And then they go, you see the breakdown, and then they went and completely perfectly reproduced that lighting exactly to the bone. And then wrote to him, but then around him, the light source is exactly the same as the plate, but now is on the city that doesn't exist. And you're like, these people are really working. I think that for a long time now, Weta has been doing this work where they replicate the worlds. I remember talking to you years ago when we did Planet of the Apes a long time ago, where they were growing the trees. They were actually growing the trees, not just modeling them, Their physics-based, realistic approach to simulation has really revolutionized the way they do water, the way they do fire as well. We'll talk about fire in a minute. But they're really going for it in the way they do vegetation as well, and animals, and the whole thing, and we'll talk about the muscle system as well. Their approach, their philosophy, their approach of replicating completely scientifically correct everything to a point that then developing tools, it's an amazing way of approach. And also they develop these tools where the tool set is not rocket science. They make these tool sets that are actually accessible to the users, because in the past, for example, if you wanted to do a really complex fire simulation, you actually needed a bit to know a lot of different kind of knowledge into different fuels and different liquids and different densities and graphic and calculations. They are making this R&D, this completely R&D to make these tool sets that they can then deploy on thousands of artists, and they don't have to have a freaking PhD in physics to do it. They can just use the artist tools to create something that has already been figured out. It's already been figured out by someone else, and that's amazing. That's really impressive method.
Just to go back on something you said though about that shot with Spider and say the big light from the flying craft. I mean, unless I'm mistaken, what's incredible is that that's an ILM shot.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right? So here's this quick little sidetrack we'll go on, in that Weta is, of course, the veteran of these Avatar films, and ILM has actually worked on each Avatar film as well. But ILM has come along and done a whole chunk of work, especially in that human place.
The base,
forgetting the name of it.
Yeah, it's the
bridgehead. I think
bridge,
it is.
Yeah.
And had to actually do fully digital characters, Na'vi, but especially Quaritch, and fully digital environments, and integrate live action of Spider there as well. And honestly, the audience wouldn't know, right? Why would they?
No.
And that is huge achievement.
I didn't even knew that those were from ILM. I thought it was not. I didn't even notice. Like, it looks the same to me.
Weta definitely did some bridgehead shots, especially when Varang's team arrive on.
The ones when they're filming,
creatures.
everyone is filming and everything.
Yeah. But then that sort of escape from Spider is an ILM sequence, and when Jake's in the middle of the group in that glass prison, and he's wearing this jumpsuit as well. Like, I just think that is brilliant that ILM has matched Weta's work, given all the proprietary stuff that Weta does develop to make this happen. So anyway, you were talking about fire, and you're right. In Way of Water, Weta had sort of, made a couple of huge advancements, and one of them was in what they called their state machine for water, fire simulations, and making sure that simulations affected other simulations. And when they were doing fire, they kind of realized that you did need a bit of a PhD to understand
the liquids and the gasoline and all the fire. And of course, it's all physics. It's all things that I don't know at all. I know what an image can look like, and I think most artists know, but man, the chemical combustion background, it's insane. Yeah.
So they simplified it, I guess, for their artists and to this Cora tool set. And, it still does all this crazy complex stuff. It's something that kind of sits inside or outside Houdini, but it's a Houdini workflow. And it just means that, that an artist who's not familiar with the complex combustion,
chemical reactions,
chemicals, doesn't need to understand that stuff. And Cora is a really interesting thing to get your head around. What I sort of love is that there's a new category in the VS Awards from the past 2 or 3 years, which is a technology or a tool. Yeah. And Cora is one of the nominees, as is BodyOpt, which is their character deformation toolset at Weta. There's a couple of other machine learning things from other studios that are nominated as well. And so you can actually learn a lot about the origins of Cora and the origins of Loki, which is this sort of tool set for coupling simulations that WetaFX has developed. But I was saying up front that there's not enough. There's not enough fire.
A lot of fire
in Avatar, in Fire and Ash. But the fire scenes that are there,
they're incredible.
Are the most realistic, awesome fire scenes I've ever seen.
Yeah. A side note for what he was saying about the Visual Effects Society having that award. By far, it is my favorite award to watch. It's by far my favorite award because the reason, just like you just said, the reason is just because you get to see something that you never see anywhere else. Like, there's no information about this except if you maybe go in, dig into the papers at SIGGRAPH. And so it's really amazing that they're doing that award every year because we get to see so much. I know it's only the Visual Effects Society members that watch it, but sometimes it comes out, sometimes it leaks out, and not leaks, sorry, what I meant is it comes out by the studios themselves show it, or there's papers out, and to credit for Weta, really, I really have to congratulate them for being so open because they publish so many papers on SIGGRAPH. They did that with the water simulations. They now are doing it with Cora as well with the fire. They've been amazing to the community, the way that they are completely sharing their methodology and sharing their work and sharing their papers with the rest of the community, really really bringing everyone up to speed to how this can be done. And I love them for that. It's a really huge because they could have done the other way around. They could have made their cards hidden and they could have not talked about everything, but they are really open about it. And not just on the papers, on interviews, on your magazine as well. It's amazing. I think Weta is doing an amazing job on that sense.
Well, there is a strong community of sharing, especially through SIGGRAPH.
Yeah.
I think they hold back on like implementation of it, because it's their secret sauce.
Of course, I know.
As any visual effects,
but it gives you an idea, and any studio can make their own thing. I think that's the thing, because this is, I know it sounds basic now when we already read the interviews, we know about it, but if you really think about it, it's really a logical approach. You go and shoot fire, you go and have a lot of fun and shoot a lot of flamethrowers everywhere and fire up things, and they burn down huts, and they went out and actually shot real fire, real reference footage of flamethrowers, and this not only served as the bedrock of the simulation development for them to know different chemical reactions and different combustion levels, but also it's a fantastic way to validate their renders. And you see that on the breakdowns where you see the flamethrower and then you see it next to their flamethrower, and they look the same. And so it's a great way to validate. So the method, yes, there is a secret sauce, but the methodology is really can be done by any studio, really, if they really pour some R&D development into it. It's all a matter of just making something for real, shoot a lot of reference, then develop the tools to actually replicate that reference, and then validate it against the reference that you shot. And that's really it. It's not rocket science. It is rocket science, but it's something that is really how we do visual effects now. And it just depends on how much R&D time you have and how much budget you are willing to put to R&D, I think, really, because you need time for this.
I think it's even more than that, Hugo, because yes, there's reference that's been shot, and in fact, a lot of that reference was filmed for Way of Water. And then when they were establishing their Loki workflows, they really did do the thing that WetaFX does, which is let's start with replicating physics and reality.
Yeah.
And so they were like, well, can we replicate a candlelight? Can we replicate
that was awesome. Yeah.
a like just a pot of burning stuff? Can we then make that bigger? Right. And that required all this, as you say, formulas and approaches to combustion and simulation, but then packaging it into something that seems a bit more tangible and easier to understand is actually what Cora is all about.
And deploy it, because you need to deploy it to hundreds of people, and they need to be inducted into it, and it can't be too complicated. Sometimes we artists, we're not very smart. We're not really we're not brainy. I'm not brainy at all when I'm working on these things. You do it by the feeling of it, and you do it if it looks good. I don't know anything about physics or anything about combustion chemicals, but that's the cool thing about this core development is that you don't have to. They just don't have to know it, as long as someone on the team knows it. Someone on the team knew it.
Well, they've got scientists.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. And look, a similar kind of R&D approach happened with this toolset called BodyOpt, which is for character deformations. And I had covered BodyOpt a little bit with some of my Last of Us coverage and the Horde, but they really went to town on it for Fire and Ash. And I think it's every visual effects CFX artist's nightmare and challenge. Is, you've got animation, but how do you do muscles flexing? How do you do it on so many characters? How do you do it realistically? Well, BodyOpt sort of takes all that research that Weta has done already, because they really had done a lot of R&D for a toolset they used to call Tissue, which was about starting with the underlying skeleton through to all the muscles, fascia layers and whatnot. And BodyOpt is more like, again, I'm not the best person to describe it, but it's more like a full volumetric muscle model.
Yeah.
Right? And actually also employs some machine learning, which they don't talk about too much. I think it's quite deliberate. We should mention the AI side of
They mention it on the Visual Effects Society
they do.
Nominations. They do, because they know there's the audience for that. But I'm glad you said that. I have a note here to say this, because if you look at the public videos, the ones on YouTube, they say the word human artistry like 20 times on a video.
Right.
They say the word handmade, both the word handmade and human artistry, multiple times on the videos, like multiple times. They really gone into that, because I think they know that right now, talk about AI is really misunderstood and can get really misunderstood. If they really would have openly talked about this, they probably would have gotten all that backlash. Oh, Avatar was all done in AI. That would have been it, and it wasn't at all. They didn't use generative AI. I mean, James Cameron has said that categorically on all his interviews. It's a really different approach. It's machine learning. And so I think that again, this muscle system, the BodyOpt, it is really, if you think about it, there wouldn't have been any other way of doing this except if they would have done this, because you have 150 characters. That's just mind-blowing. 150 characters, all of them have different physiques, and all of them have different muscles. These people are with visible anatomy, like they're mostly naked. They're really, really almost have no dress. That means that you see muscles all the time. You see muscles on every shot. And there are also like an enormous amount of character shots. Like, besides the fact that there's 150 people being done in CG, there are 2,500 shots with them. It's like, imagine if you had to do the muscles by hand or on different types of pipelines like we used to do them. It would have been just impossible. They needed a machine learning help for this, because it would have been too much work. It would have taken years to manually animate every single muscle on every single character and every single shot.
Yeah.
They needed
it's also clever because it's focusing just on the outside skin rather than worrying too much about rigging the underlying features.
Exactly.
Like muscles, tendons, skin. And that's where the machine learning comes in, because it's based on a mesh neural network that's been trained on a predefined data set. So actually that's also interesting, because they would go out and shoot like super muscly people.
I know, doing all sorts of things. I know.
Had the right
I saw that.
physiques. I thought that was really cool too. But, they still employ a secondary system to do the classic kind of, muscle activations, skin sliding, breathing, and all those kinds of things. But the point of it, I hate to use this word, is that it's a bit more automated.
Exactly.
Right? And it gets you there more quickly. Like, it doesn't mean at all that there's no artistry involved. In fact, it comes from the artistry.
And also, like, people really have to have there can't be a misunderstanding here. Muscles, okay? So of course it has to be automated. I mean, a muscle behaves like a muscle. You can't invent how muscle systems work. We know anatomy. I know the Navi is slightly different from human, but they're still very humanoid. They have humanoid features. And so our eyes are so used to seeing humanoid features. The breathing, for example, is automatic. You can't really, why would you waste time animating breathing? Come on, it's like, it has to exist. The muscle system, when you flex a muscle, there's all sorts of tendons and muscle sections of your body that tense up and release as well and relax. And that's an automated system if you think about it. The muscles are already there. You can't really invent that. And so it makes perfect sense for you to develop a machine learning system. They photograph and film a bunch of muscular people. They make that part of the training data, and then all of that system is automated and done. And so whenever they drop a person, they drop a CG character into a scene, it automatically already has the behavior of the muscles as they want. Obviously, this is a fantastic first step. And then after this, of course, they go in with their artistry, and of course they muscle a bit more and they move a little bit more and they adjust it for dramatic purposes. The same way an actor does as well. An actor will do dramatic poses and things that are not as they would have done, but they work fine for that specific shot. So I think this is actually a brilliant way of doing it. And the most brilliant of all of it, when I was reading your article, is the methodology of how the interface of the application is when you're working as an artist. They've developed a timeline-based editing of muscles, which is really smart because you have this editorial viewport, almost like you're on DaVinci or something. And then you have all the muscles animations. Then you have all these lines of edit that you can then edit different parts of the muscles. And so you can time frame it to the voiceover, you can time frame it to the timing, you can time frame it to the shots. And so you can literally play it back like if it was like an edit. This is really a smart way of doing it. It's an incredibly advanced way of tweaking muscles and already having a base of muscles driven by the neural network. Sorry, Ian, I know I'm hogging the conversation. I'm just going to mention one single more thing. When you look at the film, and let's not think about the neural networks or the pipelines or anything, you're just watching the movie. I have never seen such realistic muscles in my life. Like, this is so advanced. You're watching these characters and you see their biceps and you see their legs and you see their breathing and the veins. I've never seen anything like this. It was definitely worth it because it looks incredible. It looks incredible.
Well, especially Quaritch when he's just about to fall into the flux devil off a floating rock and he's holding on and he's got Spider as well, I suppose, I think. And even in that breakdown that Weta shared for BodyOpt and the VS Society Awards, they show the bodybuilder or whoever it was doing reference video. And then, you just see Quaritch's biceps. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous that it's not real.
It's insane. Yeah. And it has to be a neural network because how the hell are you going to deal with all the collision systems of those muscles? It's too much work. It is possible because we've done it in the past, but imagine doing it in 3,500 shots. It's too much. They would have taken 20 years to do the movie. It would have taken too long,
Yeah, and the point of it being a machine learning thing is because it's trained on real movement
that they shot.
Data,
it's not.
Right? You're not
it's not
guessing.
It's not like stolen from the internet. They actually hired the people, the muscle people. They hired them. They shot them. They've been paid. They are contributing to the data set. It's just Again, they are working in such a correct methodology. I feel like Weta is really nailing the methodologies of visual effects.
It is something WetaFX is known for, and it feels like a lot of it comes from Joe Letteri, who said, well, why not, follow nature and follow everything as physically plausible as possible.
And then break it if you
some
need
of
to.
That, exactly. Some of that BodyOpt approach, I think, extends from what they were doing with faces for Way of Water and how that system has been extended again for this film. And that is their anatomically plausible facial system, APFS, which is a neural network-based facial tech, which does, use, instead of blend shapes, which is what we've been doing so much with faces and bodies for years, and instead of the fax approach,
which they used on the first Avatar, I think, wasn't it? Or still on the second one? No, I think it was the first one,
Yep. Instead of that, it's about muscle fibers, and it's about the firing, the realistic firing of muscle fibers. And I mean, I feel like some of it is a black box that I just have tried to get my head around over the years and still can't. But there's no doubting the facial performances and the translation that WetaFX is able to achieve from performance capture of Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldana and Una Chaplin into these facial performances of Jake, Natiri, and Varang is like nothing else. When we talk about how we're stunned by the rendering and the compositing in these frames, I'm equally as stunned by how realistic these performances come out as, and that's, I think that's another reason why the audience loves this film, because they do get to see a lot of behind the scenes of the performance capture. And Disney 20th Century have made a real effort to do some side-by-sides, and I'm sure you'll be showing them in this video, Hugo. And, you know, going back to many conversations you and I have had over the past few years about too much CG and also no CGI, I think audiences are okay with this kind of CGI because they know it comes from a real performer, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They can just feel Zoe in Neytiri.
Absolutely.
And have since 2009.
Absolutely.
It's huge.
They've always been very open on showing this. This is, of course, because they want to bring this message that they've been faithful to the actors, and they don't want people to think that they're just voice actors like an animation movie. They really want to make sure people understand that it comes from their acting, and it really does. It really, really does. And I know it's different anatomy. They have only 4 fingers. They have ears. Of course, they are taller. Obviously, there's an enormous amount of artistry that comes in to adapt the body of a real human person, to adapt it into an avatar body. So there's an enormous it's a combination of the acting of the actors together with the amazing work of Wētā's animators to actually bring to life and bring the essence and bring the base of that performance into the CG character. So it's a really big team effort really there. But
yeah,
I'm glad you're talking about this. Like for me, you know, a great segue to talk about this, since we were talking about the APFS new system that they've developed. It really, for me, shines on my favorite character of the movie. Varang is my favorite character of the movie. I think she steals the show. Joanna Chaplin is incredible. Both the performance you see on live action, because they shared it so much, because she's so good at it. I think that's why they're showing it all the time. There's entire videos of showing the original performance that she did. And she's just amazing. And then the translation to Varang, which again, my favorite character of the movie, I think it really steals the show. That entire section when Quaritch goes there to the volcano and she's on the hut, and then he goes there and they have the psychedelic section and they have the sex section. It is so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
And it's really a testament to this new system because you are really in there. She's full screen on the screen. She's close up. It's really a big close up. She's like, and you stay on her for minutes and minutes, watching her performance and talking about what happened to their people and the volcano, and it is mesmerizing, the acting and also this new facial system. It's incredible.
Yeah, well, it's new, but they developed it for Way of Water.
Yes.
You know, I think what's amazing is that I got to speak in depth to 2 people in the facial motion department at Weta FX, Stuart Adcock and Beck Slaborn, and they really went into a lot of detail about Varang in particular. So again, a plug for the mag. There she is on the cover.
One of the best covers you've done in a long time, man. This is amazing.
It's a good cover.
Such a good cover.
And I just, you know, we talk about the tools a lot, but then to talk to the artists behind it, I think we've said it already, but I want to make sure that there is so much artistry input into this work, especially for Varang. Apart from the facial animation and that translation, what also works is texturing, right? Achieving that makeup, making it look a bit messy as if like Varang
did it
herself.
Yeah.
And I think that's even how they shot some reference. They got the actress to do it, but with no help from the makeup department, you know, so that, or the stand-in person would do it, you know, so that it looks like there's fingers have run through the paint and makeup, and then that's replicated by Weta FX, and it just works. There's little details in that sequence with Quaritch that I love as well, which is when she's making him sniff or whatever it is, some psychedelic stuff. They shot reference.
It's so funny.
Of that.
It's such a funny sequence. It is such a funny sequence as well. No, I know. I know we were just been talking about the animation and the facial animation, the muscle system, but the texturing and the lighting of that sequence, it is my favorite sequence. It's my favorite sequence. It's mostly lit by fire sources from like little, like, it's a really dark environment that they've developed there, and it's it's powerful. It's super powerful, and I feel like they really nailed this thing of transferring the complete performance all the way back to the CG character that they've created in the film in all levels, from the texturing, the lighting, and the animation, and you still see the actresses there, and which is amazing. You look at the performance and you see her. You look at Quaritch and you still see Stephen Lang. You still see him there on the film. I think that's why people react. I think, to answer what you were saying, that's why people don't mind the CG. It is because of that. Because they know about it. They know about it. And James Cameron has been so open about it. I think it makes a huge difference.
Do you know what I also think is so cool about Una Chaplin's performance is, so 2 and 3 were filmed together, as in the volume performance capture was. So that means that Una's performance must have been done in 2016, 2017, unless I'm getting my timelines wrong, right? And then, so Jim would have seen that, and perhaps the other cast and Wētā would have seen it, but they didn't get to work on it until more recently. So they know they've got this performance in the can.
I know.
But do you know what I mean? I think that's really fascinating.
It is.
I think that would be really interesting.
It is, isn't it? For all of them, really, for all of them, even for Quaritch as well. Like, all of them have been doing this for so long, and they shot this for so long ago. I know exactly what you mean. Now, Joan Chaplin is my favorite part of this movie. I really hoped and wished that she would have been nominated. It would have been amazing. She would have been nominated. It would have been a stretch, because I know the Academy, it's going to take a few more years until they take seriously CG performances, which I think they should at some point. But I think it needs a new generation of voters to come in for that to happen. I think in the future, this will be easy for it to happen. But I do think that she should have been nominated for a supporting role for sure. She is the best part of this movie. And how cool is Joan Chaplin? She is so cool. The way her interviews and the way she the way she showcases on the behind the scenes. And man, and this is a really inspiring actress. She doesn't do much, but this movie, it's so cool, man. Of course, she's sultry, she's sexy,
I know, she's evil. The dancing in the fire,
I know, it's insane. That shot is insane with the sparks going around. Man, of course she's cool. Not only she's the granddaughter of Charles Chaplin, but she's the great-granddaughter of Eugene O'Neill. It's just like, what? It's insane.
It's in the blood.
It's insane how much artistry is there. I can't wait to see her more. I'm assuming she show up on the next Avatar. I hope she does. She didn't die on this one, so that's the thing that I really didn't understand what happened at the end. She just kind of vanishes on the end. She doesn't really show up. So I think it's really open. It's open that we'll probably see her more. I have a feeling that we won't see the family. This family, I don't think it will be again on next Avatar. I think next Avatar will be something else. I think this. I have a feeling that this story is over. The story of the Sullys. I have that feeling.
Oh, okay.
That's my feeling, at least. And I think there've been interviews where James Cameron is pointing to that in his conversations, where he wants to explore parts of the environment and explore other parts of the world as well. I would love to see more Varang on later movies, and I think they know they have something special. She's a special villain for sure.
Yeah. Well, of course, the big challenge is the kids have got older, right?
Yes.
So that's another reason why they had to go and shoot performance capture all in one go, at least for these films. The kids are now basically older teenagers, if not older.
Yeah.
And so that's a challenge.
They'll have to recast
we'll see what they
do something else. Also like I mean, no, you know, of course I need to respect, I love Stephen Lang on all of them, all of the movies, but he's getting really older now. I mean, I'm not sure he would be able to do many more avatars with this kind of physical performance. This is a really hard physical performance for an older person like him. I think he's like 75 or 77 or something. Like he's great. I mean, but this was years ago, of course. This was shot years ago.
Hugo, there's so much to talk about with the film, but I think we can't go into everything. But I just have two more things, if that's okay with you, to talk about.
Sure.
One is another amazing group of characters in this film, and we did meet Paikan in the first film, Way of Water. But I love the Tulkun in this film. I really do. A lot's been made online about how do they get their piercings and jewelry and stuff like that. That's kind of interesting. But
people have nothing to do, man. They just love to complain all the time.
The wiseness of them is just really fascinating to kind of absorb and watch. And there's the scene where the elders are meeting and they sort of come out of the water, like this. And I just think that is so successful. It just feels like something else,
Absolutely.
So I love the Tulkun. My other thing is, I was curious about Kate Winslet's character, right? She actually, of course, gives birth, but also dies. So there is a press photo released when Way of Water came out of Kate Winslet doing some of the underwater performance capture, where she's underwater in the suit, but she's also got this kind of butterfly flowy sheet thing on a stick underwater doing this thing. And I'm like, I've always wanted to know, is that motion capture for a scene we haven't seen yet? Is it just getting her used to diving underwater and being underwater? This scene is not anywhere to be seen in Way of Water or Fire and Ash. And I'm just putting it out there that I would love to know if that's a deleted scene or something to come, or
flashback.
What that is. So
it could be a flashback.
Yeah, flashback of some kind. It's a cool shot, right?
It could also
be super cool.
It could also be, but maybe one of the Avatar movies is about that clan, and then it will go back. Because there's a lot of potential here. You could go back. Imagine an Avatar movie where we don't have humans, and it's before they came in. And it's about the fights between the clans, and you just have that and have no humans interference. And maybe at the end of the movie, then they arrive, the humans. You see the ship coming, and you see them seeing the ship arriving, and they don't know what it is. I know. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, this really sounds familiar, and it's from Apocalypto. Remember that Mel Gibson movie where you see the clans fighting the whole movie, and then at the end the Spanish arrive at the coast to conquer America, to conquer Mexico, to conquer South America, and so that could be a cool thing to see. The conquerors arriving, and you see the ship, and the film ends with the ships arriving, and then I guess you could start again with Avatar 1, which would be the sequel of that sequence, because they already established.
So Jim, just call us and call Hugo.
I'll direct it.
Your script needs.
I can direct it. I can direct it. Okay, so you had to. I'm only going to say one thing that I would like to mention because I don't think it gives a lot of love. Because people are so mind blown by the avatars and by the Navis and the environment and the forests. Shout out to the actual human side of this movie, the amazing ships, the monstrous ships like the factory ship, the other ships, the boats. That work by itself is mind blowing. And it would have been probably an Oscar nominee if it would have just been that. but it's so not mentioned usually because it's so good. The design, we already know James Cameron is amazing at this. All the ships that he's done in his life, on Avatar 2, on Islands 2, on everything he's done in the past. They have Terminator. The design of the ships, of the robots has always been amazing.
Agreed.
But these ships, man, especially the new big trawler, the gigantic factory ship, it is so cool. It's so cool, so detailed, and so gigantic. It's like a city. It's insane. It's really cool. I love that part of the movie, you know.
There's a couple of videos that Weta FX, I think, has put out there, but also would have been in the VES.
Yeah, they have one for they have fly-throughs. It's nominated for best model, I think, together with the sail ships, together with the gas ships as well. They've nominated both of them. Yeah. But they're so cool because they're really slick. They're really cool. And they're just so well constructed. This kind of futuristic, kind of like mass production from the earth. It's really cool. I love those ships, love those sections when you see them, you know.
Agree.
And they're so menacing as well.
It's like any other film, the development
that would have
of
been
that and shooting of motion bases for the smaller craft and, you know, all that other work. It would be like a whole other film. That could be a film on its own. I know. That could be the action third act on its own.
And when you see the breakdowns, and you see the breakdowns of visual effects side, and you see some of it on the behind the scenes documentaries on YouTube, there's a lot of sets for these things. Like there's entire cockpits constructed. There are sets that actually move and go berserk, and so that the actors can drop, and they are like, and also there's these sets with the ship. When the ship gets hit by the gigantic whale, the ship goes sideways. Tulkun. The ship goes sideways, and you have real sets where you have liters of water coming into the set, and they are submerged. And you even have these sets where you have the people inside these domes, and the water comes in as well. There's this entire world of shooting that happened for that section.
Yeah.
That we don't even mention. Because no one talks much about that because it's so focused on the volume, you know. Yeah. And I know it's a more traditional visual effects based thing, but that alone is really complex because it's real stereoscopic footage. It's actually shot with real stereo cameras, and it's really good. It's like really good, you know.
Yeah. I remember on Way of Water, they even built some of those smaller ships, maybe the Matador or a Picador.
Yeah.
And they went and filmed one, some bay in New Zealand, and it was like ridiculously fast. And then, they're pretty cool little maneuverable things. And there's some really good behind the scenes of that from Way of Water, I remember. So, I mean, gosh,
too much to talk about. There's too much to talk about, and this film is huge, and I think we haven't even, you know, we're not going to do that, but we didn't even talk about the harmonics lighting and the rendering systems that they have, and that's another thing as well that we haven't even touched upon, and also like the props, and also like the clothings and the hairstyles and the whole thing where they actually had like real props that they've built as reference for the costume design. And in fact, the film is nominated for Best Costume Design, which is incredible. It was nominated for 2 Oscars, for visual effects and for costume design as well. So Deborah Scott was nominated because her costumes are amazing. And they actually build all the costumes for real. And then they made them, I'm assuming, scanned them and did representations in 3D for them. That's an incredible piece of work as well, just the costume design of the movie as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it's sort of, to me, related to that CGI experience that people seem to not like for some other movies. And they're okay with it here because it's just a properly built world that feels real. Like those ships, the gondolas that the wind traders have, you know, in my magazine, there's about 6 photos close up of those, but Weta FX gave me like 13. because I think they just really, they wanted to show
Yeah.
the weaving, digital weaving that had gone into those gondolas. And it is based on weaving that was done for real by Weta Workshop and other parts of production as reference for these, things that VFX then had to build. So you can feel the tangibleness, if that's a word, to the CG work because it comes from something real.
Yeah,
and
it is. And people have
in everything.
And just even the destruction of those gondolas as well. It's an amazing shot as well when they get destroyed all the time. I feel like I really think people have no problem with this because like you said, they know they come from something real. But it also makes sense because there was no other way of shooting this. You can't really go into Pandora to shoot this. So this entire thing is so over the top and it's so fantasy that you have to deploy CG to make it. I think people don't like regular movie goers don't like CG when it's used in things that they know could have been shot in a different way. I think that's the big thing. People don't like when they see these superhero movies where they're doing really crazy jumps and doing really crazy stuff and things that are not really possible and they're not and could have been shot in a different way, could have been more grounded maybe, the cameras could have been more realistic. I think that's where people kind of like lose people when it's that. You're never going to lose people on a film like this because the entire film feels like it's real. You said it better than me in the beginning of this podcast. You feel like James Cameron traveled to Pandora with the video camera and he was just walking around filming it. That's how you feel, especially because of the wide shots and because of the handheld and because the way the framing is made. It feels like a documentary almost. The whole thing feels like someone is there filming it, for real.
Yeah.
The style of it, I think. And then, of course, together with the 48 frames per second and the stereo makes it more real even because you can touch it almost. And so it becomes even more realistic. And because people have never seen anything like this, because there's no other film that looks like this. That's why they react so well to it, because there's nothing to compare it to. There's nothing else like this at all.
No.
Nothing,
No. Maybe last thing to talk about. I can't wait for a Avatar movie marathon.
Yeah.
Like if that hasn't
would have
happened
been
already,
like a
I'm
9-hour.
surprised.
That would have been a 9-hour
but
long.
I've done that. I've done that with Marvel films and Star Wars films.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Them.
I've done things like that as well. Yeah.
And I think it could be a fascinating thing to sort of feel even more immersed in the world of Pandora, right? Because that's what it would do.
Especially if you watch them all in a big screen, Dolby digital 3D frame rate, it would have been and if you could have watched I really love the special edition of Avatar, the first one. They made this longer version that has more shots on Earth and has a lot more shots. I love that version of the movie. So yeah, you're right. Like it would have been amazing to watch it all in a row for you to see the development of the Sully family and Quaritch and how it kind of started and where we are now.
Yeah.
Because it's so far apart. The movie is so many years between them that sometimes you maybe forget about the other ones. I haven't seen them in a while now. I haven't seen the originals ones in a while. Yeah. Oh well, let's push for a movie marathon somehow in the near future. But Hugo, that was really fun talking about all this work, and congratulations in particular to Weta FX. Yeah.
And of course the nominees for the Oscar. And it's going to be an interesting race, but I think Avatar Fire and Ash probably does have it. But
I think so.
We'll really see.
I think so. We'll see, but it's really difficult for you to watch all these behind the scenes, and I know the voters would have been previewed to videos as advanced as the Visual Effects Society nomination videos. It's really difficult for you to watch all of this work and not really give the award, because it's not even just by the sheer amount of it, it's really difficult for you to ignore. it's so much more than any other nominee, and by just the amount of work, it's and the advancements that are happening there. I'm not of course the F1 also has a lot of advancements, and Sinners has a lot of advancements, and Lost Bus as well. They all have their own advancements, but this is, with no disrespect to anyone involved, I think this is another level. I feel that when I watch it and when I talk about it, and I talk about these methodologies that they put into the movie. I don't know, like it. I think this is, yeah. So I would be very surprised if it didn't win. I would be very surprised, you know.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for listening to us, and hope you enjoy this whole VFX nominees series. Sorry, Hugo, it's been great. Thanks so much, and catch you later, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.